YouTube has taken down a video showing footage of you speaking at an event for the civil rights group Big Brother Watch at last week's Conservative Party conference. I was actually partly hosting that event after you delivered your speech, and they've accused you effectively of they're saying this is the reason why it was removed because of medical misinformation, and you violated the policy they have, although they did not specify what content to breach the rules. Now, this was a meeting attended by, very well attended indeed, which was discussing vaccine passports and the campaign against vaccine passports. But you've not been told why your speech as an elected member of parliament, a former member of government, has been taken down by YouTube, have you?
No, well, I haven't. And it is fascinating, this sort of arbitrary decision, because when I was told this yesterday, I thought, oh, did I say something which I didn't intend to say? You know, I mean, we can all misspeak. So I got the clip. It's 11 minutes long, and I went through it line by line, and we checked every single fact, and they correspond to known science at the time and now. They correspond even to Public Health England's declarations on how well vaccines work in some areas, not in others. They work well to prevent death and prevent serious disease. They don't work so well to prevent transmission of disease. All this stuff, we went through line by line. There's not an error in it, I'm glad to say. So this is a very good demonstration, I'm afraid, of why we should not give the platforms, people like Google and YouTube and Facebook and so on, we should not give them the right to censor our speech, which is what this is. This is the first time in Britain that I've ever had my speech censored. And frankly, it's outrageous. And actually, what they're doing, by the way, the comment is libelous. You know, somehow I'm promoting, an anti-vaxxer campaign or something like that. I'm vehemently in favour of vaccines, but it's absolutely libelous. Yeah. No, we haven't heard from them.
Well, but this is what happened when the talk radio site was taken down by YouTube. And again, we were told 3 strikes and you're out. And again, no medical misinformation. I go out of my way to make sure we don't do that. And this is it. It's basically anyone who questions any part of government policy, like vaccine passports, which is quite clearly a civil liberties issue, as we were discussing at the time, as opposed to a medical issue. But the idea that people are not allowed to question even that, and that will be censored by some big tech company over in the United States, is quite bizarre and really quite scary indeed as well. Because if they're censoring an elected member of parliament, and when we saw, with Twitter and Facebook and everyone taking down President Trump's Twitter feed. Now, I didn't agree with anything the man had to say, but it doesn't mean he doesn't have the right to say it. But it's getting really quite scary right now. What do we do about it, though? Because, that video's taken down. There is no right of appeal.
Well, there is no right of appeal. You're quite right, and there ought to be, and our government ought to give us that. Unfortunately, what the government is doing with the so-called online harms bill is going the other way. Is going to require platform providers to make judgments about what they think is harmful, and that's after all the argument that YouTube put up. This is some sort of harmful video, and the simple truth is, when the online harm bill goes through, if they don't do it, they're going to get penalised. So the government is actually making it worse when what it ought to be doing is giving us all the right to have our free speech. After all, in Britain, what part you heard me say in that speech that they've taken down, Britain's almost unique characteristic for hundreds of years was our freedoms, our free speech, our freedom of action, our freedom of association. All these are undermined by the behaviour of these platforms, and absolutely the government should step in to prevent this sort of behaviour. If they want to be licensed to operate in the UK, they ought to operate within our rules, which means free speech first and foremost.